Hi, so we're doing our challenge together, and I know quite a few of us want to do variations of planks and press-ups. That seems to be the most popular thing. I think it's sort of a hard thing for women to do, isn't it? It's definitely something I've always struggled with. So I just want to give you a few things about technique first, because these are all quite challenging exercises, and I want to make sure that you're doing them right. One of the reasons I think my own progress with press-ups is so slow is because I'm really trying to do them properly and not cheat. So I'm just going to talk you through some of the things and just show you the technique for different progressions as well. And then I'm going to talk a little bit more about the principle behind this and how it might be different from the training that you're doing in your, your weekly training sessions. So the first thing that's really important for planks and for press-ups is your posture. So there's two things that I want to draw your attention to. The first one is locking in your core. Okay, so I always do this by imagining, and you can do it for real, putting your thumb on the top of your ribs and your middle finger on the top of your hips, and then you're very slightly pulling in and squeezing everything sort of down and in to get some real solidness here and get all of those muscles engaged, because we're trying to almost brace this section of our spine to keep it solid while we're doing the press-ups or the planks. And the reason we're doing that is we're trying to get what's called a neutral spine. I'm going to turn to the side. When these muscles aren't tightened in and pulled in here, what can happen is your pelvis can tilt, and that creates some sinking in the back here. Then when you're in a press-up or in a plank position, what's happening is gravity starts to pull your tummy forwards because these muscles aren't working, and the stress and the strain of the press up and the plank can start to be felt on your lower back here. So when we get this ribs and hips moving and we pull it together, we very slightly tip the pelvis backwards and lock in here, so that now we've not got this dip in our back. We're not trying to flatten our back, because that curve's a natural thing. We're trying to find this neutral spine, but this comes from being able to really hold and engage these muscles all the way through. So when you're doing your plank, you need to make sure that you can feel these muscles really working hard and burning really. And even with the press-ups, even though you'll be moving your arms as well. And that's going to give you a sign that you're holding all of this core in a good position. And the minute you feel that you can't hold it any longer, that's you done. So we've got to be stopping before we get to the point where we fail. And letting go of the core, getting the sinking feeling in your back is failing. Okay, so that's the first thing that we need to pay attention to, this core engagement, to keep our body in a really nice straight line while we're doing the plank and while we're doing sit-ups, press-ups, whichever version we do. The next thing that we want to focus on with both of these is our neck and shoulders. We can hold a lot of stress in our neck, and it's very common for people to just feel that they're pulling the shoulders up towards their ears all the time. We just sort of tighten up here. And what we don't want to do when we're doing any exercises is exacerbate this by holding on to these moves very tightly and creating more tension around here. So we starting to think about lengthening that space between our shoulders and our ears to keep this nice and relaxed. And then with our shoulders, we're thinking of our shoulder blades, which is the bit here. We're pulling down and bringing them back slightly. So you're trying to get a pinching feeling between your shoulder blades of them pulling back together. So your shoulder blades are coming down and round and pulling slightly back. And that's going to keep us in a very strong flat back position with engagement here, and that keeps this lack of tension in the neck and shoulders. From a press-up point of view, your hands want to be in this type of position. So your shoulders are down and back, and your elbows are roughly around 45 degrees from your body, and your hands are straight. I'm going to demonstrate this on the ground as well. We don't want to be like this. We don't want to be like that. So it's a good idea to do what I'm doing and just practice this standing up so you can see what this feeling is like before you then get on the ground. And then the last thing I want to just draw your attention to, which is linked to the neck, is to make sure your chin is not tucked in, but just lightly sort of pulled in. Again, when we slump and we have bad posture, we can very easily sort of get this sort of dip in our neck, and we don't want to be like this when we're pressing up. We want to have this neutral neck, okay? And that's going to keep us in a nice healthy position while we're working on the muscles that we're working with, are all across here, and not create more tension in the neck. Okay. So let's start with a plank. You've got two options for a plank. You can do a straight arm plank, or you can go using this position. So I'm going to start with a straight arm plank. So I always like to start on all fours, okay? And before I do anything, I'm going to think about these ribs and hips here, so that my back's supported and my core is doing the work. And then I'm going to take one leg back and try not to move my body. My shoulders are down and back, I should have said. So again, just make sure, check in with that. And then one leg goes out. I'm engaging my stomach before I take the second leg off. And that's my straight arm plank. So I'm pulling my tummy in all the time, pulling my ribs and hips very slightly towards each other, and almost drawing my muscles in towards themselves, and I'm trying to maintain that for as long as I can. When you struggle, this is the sinking situation that I talked about, which is not a good place to be for your back. You need to pull the core muscles together, your ribs and hips together, to engage your core and support your back. And then you can come down like that. So that is a straight arm plank. To do it from a lower position, again, you want to think about pulling your shoulders down and your shoulder blades back towards each other. Hands go on the floor. Think about engaging your core again, and now you're just walking your legs back out a little bit further. So this is a little bit harder, I always find, to keep my neck more relaxed. So one leg out, second leg out, pulling in through the core, ribs and hips together. And I'm thinking about pulling my shoulder blades down and back as well. And I'm going to hold in that position. Okay. So that's your planks. So for press ups, I'm going to start with using something like a stool, a chair. It's got to be sturdy, so put it against a wall so it doesn't push away from you. And we're going to move away, and we're trying to think about getting our body in a straight line from our knees to our shoulders, which would look like this, okay? But again, the emphasis is on pulling the ribs and hips together. Then we think about our shoulders down and back, okay? So we're not looking like this, okay? We're not sticking our backside out and sort of hunching our shoulders. We're coming down and round with our shoulder blades, pulling them back, locking our core in, okay? You can relax your feet, cross them over if you want, and then pushing through the heels of your hands. You're just bringing your elbows down into the side, gradually lowering yourself towards the bench and pushing up, okay? So that would be a raised version. Now, this can still feel quite difficult, and with this, we're trying not to get to a point where we're failing, okay? So I'm going to talk about that in a little bit more detail when I finish doing the demos. So lowering slowly, shoulders down and back, shoulder blades pulled together, coming towards, just go as far as you can. If you can get your chest there, that's fine. And then you're pushing away. And again, just trying to pay attention to not tensing up through here. If you're happy not to use a bench and just on your knees, and again, we're thinking about the same technique. Shoulders down and back, and trying to think about being in that straight line from your head to your knees. So engaging your core, shoulders down, pull your shoulder blades back very slightly, and then your hands are forward, just a little bit wider than shoulder width. Again, just be mindful what you're doing with your neck, or here, try and keep that neck neutral. And then what we're going to be doing is just coming down with the elbows again, coming towards the floor, low as you can, and then pushing up. Okay, and then if you're able to go to a full press up, of which I can do one, I always do them like this with my hands with my knees on the floor. So 1, would be here and lowering down. And then just about managing to push up. Now, with the last two versions, well, with all of them actually, something that you can do to help you progress is just work on what's called the eccentric version. So I'm going to show you what that is. Pushing down, you could see that I was able to go down reasonably well on the full press up, but I struggled pushing up. So one way that we can build our strength for press ups is to just do the down version. Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly what I mean now. So I'm just going to do it on my knees. So just doing the down version would be getting the position right and then just pushing all the way down, controlling slow to the bottom, and then flopping down, pushing up, coming to the start and doing again. So what I do with press ups is I'll do as many as I can full, pushing up and down, and if I start to feel that I'm tired and I can't carry on to the end of my set, I just do the down version. Okay, so there are all the options for press ups. I'm going to just do side plank because I know a few people also want to do side planks. Again, you want to think about the same rules from a posture point of view. So keeping the tension away from your neck, hand here, okay? So and imagine you're in a straight line from your head to your toes. Now there's a couple of ways you can do this to start off with. A full version would be with your feet, your legs straight, pushing into the floor with your elbow, but coming down, just relaxing the shoulder. You don't want to be sort of hunched in like this. You need to have that space and be pulled up through that shoulder as you're doing the side plank and pulling up. So that's just really important. If you've got to notice if you're collapsing into your shoulder or not. A half version is bringing your knees up a little bit more, and then again, you probably saw me do that just because when you relax, you're sort of hunched into it. So you're just pulling up and out and pulling that shoulder blade back, lifting that hand up, and then lifting up your hips. You can sort of try and start to bring this leg out and get yourself used to it, ready to transition when you're feeling stronger, and you're pushing up and engaging through the side here, and then you can start to push that leg out and build up to that transition on there. What you'll notice with the side plank is one side's harder than the other. You don't notice so much in the planks and the press ups because you're using both sides at the same time, but everyone has one side different to the other, so you'll notice that more on the side planks. So what we're doing now that's different to your training, so when you're doing your training, you might be doing two or three times a week of doing 3 sets of 12, okay? And we're trying to get to a point with those 3 sets of 12 where we get into about 8 or 9 and we'd rather stop, but we're just pushing on a little bit harder to challenge ourselves. This daily strength challenge is different, okay? So my goal is to be able to do 10 full press ups. You can see I can just about do 1. So I won't be doing full press ups. I will be doing maybe 6 or 8 of the half press ups, but I'll be doing that twice a day. What we want to be doing with these is we want to be working out to a level that's more 6 or 7 out of 10 twice a day and then stopping. So we're not doing multiple sets, we're just doing 6 or 7 reps to get us to that 7 out of 10 effort, and then we'll stop. When we think, I'm starting to feel like I've had enough, well then we have enough. So we're not trying to push through like we do normally, but we'll do that twice. So you're going below your maximum effort, but what we're doing is we're doing little and often, very often, okay? So, and that will be enough then to help you start to get stronger, and there'll be a point within this when you start to feel like you can progress to the next level, okay? So what I want you to do is just enjoy it. It's little and often, so we're just going to set our timers for a certain time of the day that works for us, do our 5, 6, 7 reps, and then we're done, of our chosen exercise, and then we move on. With planks and side planks, we're not doing reps, we're counting. So you're just looking to maybe if 20 seconds is your max on one of those, you might be just getting to 10, okay? And building up slowly over the course of the time, over the course of the 2 months. And now I've forgotten what I was going to say. Oh yeah, if you start to get any niggles or discomfort or pain from overdoing it, then stop. Give me a shout. Because we're not working to our max effort, we should be okay, because we're not getting to a point where we're pushing ourselves too hard to the point where we're straining anything. But we just do need to pay really good attention to the technique and to listen to our bodies and do that. Some days, I think with all women at this age, our energy levels aren't consistent day to day. So today might be a really good day for you. It might be a really good day for me, and I can knock out 7 half press ups fine. But tomorrow might be a completely different story, and I feel like 3's enough. So we don't have to be tied to any particular number. Just getting to that point of 6 or 7 out of 10 hard is enough. That's all we need to get to. So on some days that might be less than others. Other days it might be more. That's the general principle of what we're trying to do. And that's what we need to work on. And then we'll together, over this time, we'll find that we're able to start progressing, and we can catch up and we can share about that, or you can ask me whenever you need to about any advice you need to do on when you think you're ready to get to the next level. Okay, so I hope that gives you a good intro into what we're doing and some clear information about the right technique. If you have any questions, then let me know. If you want to video yourself doing it and send it to me to check, then do, and I'll help you. I'll make sure that we've got that technique right together, and just make a record, even like a little video record. You've got me on the record now doing one shoddy full press up, but maybe just do a record of you and where you are now, and then you'll get an idea of how much you can do, how long you can hold things for, and what your technique looks like. And that's going to then be something that you can come back to in 2 months' time, and maybe if we're feeling confident about it, we can share our before and afters and see how that's worked and see what improvements we've made, and then we'll pick a new exercise. Right, so that's it for now. I'll speak to you all soon. All right, looking forward to seeing how you get on.